I was looking down at my lap, wishing I weren't there, when I heard Billy speak for the first time. "I guess I had a different take from everyone else," he said in a baritone as flat as the Illinois topography from which it came. I couldn't see him, as we were opposite ends of a classroom, its windows wide open to alleviate the torpor of late August 1996. Should previous decades be defined by an article of clothing and an intoxicant, a gray flannel suit and a martini, tie-dye and marijuana, bell-bottoms and hallucinogens, shoulder pads and cocaine, the mid-90s were relaxed fit Gap jeans and light beer. An edgeless era of superpower peace and American prosperity, sandwiched between the triumphant and calamitous falls of the Berlin Wall and the World Trade Center. The outcome of the most inconsequential presidential election of modern times, Clinton-Dole, surprised no one. The interregnum of mindless and all-consuming scandal, a year removed from the double murder trial of a football player turned movie star, 17 months from the revelation of Oval Office fellatio, McVeigh, Koresh, Kaczynski, their versus a brood of floppy-haired matinee idols, each tending to his own private melancholy wound. The dozen graduate students in our stuffy Dodge Hall room were part of a much larger cohort enrolled in Columbia University's Master of Fine Arts writing program. Our fiction workshop leader for the fall semester, Sylvia, had been garlanded with the general's uniform of awards for her debut novel 2 decades earlier and had produced just one other since then. A slender volume was the tag applied to that 140-page white space-filled book. Her modest output, however, had only burnished her renown as an author of sparingly curated and therefore ostensibly perfect words, and we first-years were duly awed by her reputation, along with the contrast of her silver hair and fire-engine red lipstick. She had called us a few weeks before the semester began, drafting volunteers to bring work to our brief orientation meeting so we would have something to discuss in the opening class. Hoping to impress as an intrepid pioneer, I signed up and photocopied the first chapter of my novel in progress. In truth, I was terrified of Sylvia's and my peers' judgment. I'd been accepted to Columbia on the strength of my most polished story from my undergraduate days and hadn't shown anyone the 400 extant pages of The Copy Chief, whose setting was inspired by one of the freelance copy editing jobs I'd held in my 2 post-collegiate years at a glossy men's magazine in Midtown Manhattan. The narrator of The Copy Chief is, shockingly, a young copy editor toiling in a freelance capacity at a glossy men's magazine in Midtown Manhattan. He describes the periodical as the kind that often photographed its monthly mail cover model in a sweat-glazed post-workout glow, superimposed over which were exclamatory imperatives to its readers to gain grooming, sartorial, and abdominal mastery. In an inspired twist, our introspective hero happens to be writing a novel that no one else has read, but that is, it is strongly implied, a work of singular brilliance. He is supervised by a middle-aged copy chief, Bart, an homage to Bartleby the Scrivener, who speaks roughly 10 words aloud each day as he pores over the minutiae of the magazine, ensuring there are no grammatical or spelling mistakes, and that the index listings of hair products are in the proper house style, name, price, never the reverse. A good copy editor's presence is barely felt, Bart tells the narrator on his first day. If you're good, you go unnoticed. I had, of course, worked under a similar man, though nothing dramatic ever occurred during my tenure. Among other infidelities to autobiography, the protagonist, by the end of the first chapter, finds the scribblings of the copy chief in his wastebasket late one night, discovering that Bart, by day a slave to desiccated language and late capitalist vacuity, possesses a richly imaginative private life in which he repurposes the magazine copy as enjambed poems. The narrator is heartened that his affectless boss nurtures this hidden passion, yet despairs to see the unripened fruits of it rotting away, the minor key tragedy of suppressed creativity. The rest of the novel tracks him as he unearths embezzlement of the magazine, perpetrated by the caddish editor-in-chief, and reports on it in a long article published in the magazine itself, thanks to the assistance of Bart, who smuggles in the expose after hours. Both men are grandly rewarded by the publishing industry for their heroism. I had mapped out all the head-snapping plot points in a spreadsheet with additional columns labeled symbols, themes, and Ulysses' Odyssey allusions.